the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. Why is Israel's religious services minister smiling? Sitting down with Hollywood director David Rosenthal, New York City mayoral candidate John Liu, and more of the Jewish news that's changing your world right now in this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. The Israeli government is touting it as one major step forward, but women's advocates see it as several hundred steps back. The Western Wall, where prayer services have become a key source of controversy for the Jewish state, now has a new plaza announced this week by Israel's Minister of Religious Services, Naftali Bennett. The new plaza, which is for mixed-sex prayer services, is several hundred feet from the traditional iconic Western Wall Plaza, which is now being designated exclusively for Orthodox-style sex-segregated prayer. This move is seemingly meant to override a court order in April that required women's prayer services be allowed at the main Western Wall Plaza. The group Women of the Wall, which has featured most prominently in the fight for women's equality at the holy site, had been holding women's prayer services openly at the Western Wall in the months since that court order. Now, the group is expressing disappointment at the new government policy. In a statement, they said, quote, "If this plan is accepted, the government will be excluding over 50% of the Jewish population to the back of the bus." Women of the Wall has announced a 24-hour sit-in at the Western Wall to protest the new plan. Bennett, the religious services minister, was visibly enthusiastic about the plan in a video tour of the new plaza released on the internet.
Shalom, my name is Naftali Bennett. I'm a minister in the Israeli government, and I have huge news for the Jewish world. Today, for the first time ever, we're opening at the Kotel HaMa'aravi, this is the Western Wall, we're opening a new Azara called Azarat Israel. Until now, we had a men's plaza, Azarat Gvarim, we had a women's plaza, Azarat Nashim, and today, what you see here, very new, from literally today, Azarat Israel, open for families. So I invite all of you, all of Am Yisrael from all around the world, and I don't care if you're Orthodox, Reform, Conservative, be it what you may, come over with your families, come and pray here, come and pray at the regular Western Wall or the new area, and connect to Am Yisrael. Thank you very much.
In addition to the overall tension between the ultra-Orthodox and the more egalitarian Jewish denominations in this battle over the Western Wall, we can see here a key element when the modern Orthodox, like Bennett, seem to both be sympathetic to the notion of equal treatment for women and yet oblivious to the outcry that will result from such decisions. A more measured response came from Jewish Agency Chairman Natan Sharansky, who had been specifically tapped to deal with the issue of inclusion and exclusion at the Western Wall by Israel's Prime Minister. Sharansky repeatedly referred to the new plaza as, quote, temporary, and as a gesture of goodwill. Meanwhile, here in the U.S., an abuse scandal at Yeshiva University that has produced a lawsuit with more than a dozen plaintiffs regarding claims of abuse at the school in the 1970s and 1980s has led to an official report from the university after an internal investigation. The full report has not been released, and the university has said it will not release the full report. The summary report suggested that the investigation found abuse going beyond even that which has already been alleged in lawsuits and newspaper reports, specifically that abuse happened in other divisions of the university than the boys' high school. But the summary report did not provide further detail on that. The report also restricted its findings to allegations of abuse regarding only 2 former faculty members, despite the fact that at least a third man has been alleged to have abused boys on the campus within a class action lawsuit. Moving on, Sam Rockwell is one of the most entertaining actors of our time. I'll watch any movie in which he has a major role. His upcoming film, A Single Shot, in which Rockwell plays a hunter who finds himself in the crosshairs of a criminal conspiracy, dives deeply into issues of moral conflict. Discussing those moral issues and his Jewish heritage is director David Rosenthal, who spoke with Christian Eden.
A single shot from the gun of West Virginia hunter John Moon changes his life and plunges him into a deadly struggle over a lot of money. Director David M. Rosenthal's new film, A Single Shot, explores plenty of moral questions through the lens of the internal struggles roiling within Moon, played by Sam Rockwell, which result from that gunshot and the newfound wealth that comes with it. In advance of the film's nationwide opening on September 20th, the Jewish Channel sat down with Rosenthal, who recalled his initial response to the story, based on a novel by Matthew F. Jones, who also wrote the screenplay.
One of the things that attracted me to Single Shot when I first read it was there is a deeply moral through line. In some ways, it almost plays in a very subtle way as a morality tale, in a very sort of classical way. You have this guy who makes a moral, ethical decision when he's backed against the wall, and as a consequence of those decisions, the world comes crashing down on him, and we watch that unfold. We know it's coming. We see it happening.
In preparation for filming A Single Shot, Rosenthal said he sought inspiration for the look and feel of it in the works of several great filmmakers, including Joel and Ethan Coen, and the moral themes they explored on screen.
I think the Coen brothers definitely do that. You know, I mean, No Country for Old Men had similar themes. Fargo has similar themes. You know, and I don't know that they would say that morality is something that they chase, but it's something that they're probably just drawn to, whether consciously or unconsciously.
Rosenthal added that he also doesn't consciously focus on the morality of his characters on screen.
I don't know that it's writ large over everything that I want to do, but I think it's just there. It's just part of my genetic makeup in terms of the way I approach stories and the things that I'm drawn to.
To hear more from director David M. Rosenthal about his new film, A Single Shot, starring Sam Rockwell, please tune into the full broadcast edition of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Christian. Finally, continuing our series of interviews with candidates for New York City mayor in the 2013 elections, I spoke with City Comptroller John Liu, who is running for the Democratic nomination. Here are the highlights. So you have said numerous times, and I think in your People's Budget introduction, you said it again, you spoke about your immigrant experience in your family and how that connects with the Jewish community in some colorful terms. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my background is actually not all that special. It's a background that reflects generations of people who came here and sought to make a better life for themselves and their families. I was only 5 years old when I immigrated here, and my parents, they were looking for opportunity and to have their kids grow up American.
In this election, you've characterized yourself as the most liberal candidate, but this is a New York City Democratic primary where everybody is pretty liberal. So what is really
the word progressive? It's about the basic things that we need, changes that we need in New York City, whether it be a real increase in minimum wage or the elimination of stop and frisk, or getting rid of corporate subsidies. These are things that I truly believe are necessary to propel the city of New York forward in a way that benefits everybody. Education is a significant part of the improvement. It's the biggest item in our city budget. And I do believe that the schools have been run too much as if they're corporate divisions, subdivisions reporting up to a headquarters. We need to restore the learning environment in each and every one of our classrooms and schools. And that means letting the educational professionals do their job as opposed to bombarding them with all sorts of numerical and reporting requirements constantly, allowing for a more well-rounded education that is not centered only around tests. For example, arts and music education that has been put by the wayside, we need to put that back into the curriculum for our students, and physical education as well.
And on housing, you've been aggressive in promoting new affordable housing. You said you want to build 100,000 new units.
Over the next 4 years.
Over the next 4 years.
Right.
How do you plan to get those built?
Well, look, first and foremost, we have to keep what we have in place. That means fixing up the NYCHA buildings. We've got 600,000 fellow New Yorkers who live in NYCHA buildings, and yet the disrepair in these buildings is unprecedented. Unprecedented, even though they've got, according to my own latest estimates last month, $700 million squirreled away that should have long ago been used to repair the elevators, the boilers, the windows, the lighting, even the door locks in many of these buildings. On the other hand, we do need to build more affordable housing, and I think the Bloomberg administration missed a huge opportunity this past decade because they rezoned, this is according to Mayor Bloomberg's own claims, they rezoned 40% of the city, most of which was upzoning. And when you upzone large amounts of the city's land, you're making for far greater property values. And instead of harnessing those property values, they basically let the developers, they gave the store away. Under my plan, which is called mandatory inclusionary zoning, we would reserve the increase in property values resulting solely from rezoning for the public good, specifically to build affordable housing.
Now, a major issue on which you've been extremely critical of the mayor is on policing. What is your take on the approach of Ray Kelly, the approach of profiling Muslims that he's had, and the and stop and frisk?
I do not believe either approach works, and as mayor, I would get rid of it. On the issue of Muslim surveillance, I can't claim to be Muslim. I'm not. But it's just, it offends my sensibilities, and I believe a lot of people, that the NYPD or any part of government would spy on people, not in their places of worship, in schools, in community centers, on the streets, to spy on people for no reason other than the fact that they are Muslim or of any particular religious background. I think that's wrong. But let's talk about stop and frisk. There's no, people say that, stop, question, and frisk is a legitimate police tactic. The problem is that for the experience of hundreds of thousands of people is that there's no question involved. It's just stop and frisk. And that's what's commonly being done. And that's the understanding, particularly in communities of color. So what happens? People get upset. People don't want to talk or deal with the police anymore. The police have a tougher time doing their job. And whenever that happens, it's less safe for everybody.
You can see the full interview with John Liu and the other mayoral candidates in the interview category on the Jewish Channel on demand on cable. That's all for this week from all of us here at the Jewish Channel. Be well and have a happy and healthy New Year. The Jewish Channel is available on cable. Time Warner Cable Channel 528, IO Optimum Channel 505, RCN Channel 268, Bright House Channel 330, Verizon Fios Channel 900, Cox Cable Channel 1, Frontier Communications, and on Comcast in the on-demand menu under Premium Channels. For more information, visit tjctv.com.